I'm a contrarian. I'm interested and most excited to do things that no one else is looking at. They consider boring. And so I'd be very wary of just doing AI. And for instance, in the early stages of Uber, I could have invested. I'm going to regret this decision for the rest of my life. Regret not investing it. I had the opportunity earlier to invest in OpenAI and didn't as well because there was no business model. Valuation also felt extraordinarily high. I actually think we're on the verge of a humanoid robotics revolution where millions of robots will be in the world within the next decade, and people are completely unaware of it. Almost all the advice I got from more established gray-haired people was essentially wrong.
The category you are most excited to invest as a VC today?
I'm a contrarian. I'm interested and most excited to do things that no one else is looking at. They consider boring. And the place that I'm most excited about is digitizing B2B supply chains or B2B marketplaces. Because in your consumer life, you have these extraordinary experiences. You can, get an Uber in like 3 minutes. You can order something on DoorDash and get it in like 15, 20 minutes. You can get on Amazon anything in a major city in like 2 days. And in your B2B life, everything's offline, nothing's digital. It's all like Excel, email, cell phones. Like if I want to order petrochemicals, there's not even a catalog availability, let alone online ordering, tracking the order, financing, connectivity to factory and manufacturing delays and capacity. We're at like day zero in B2B digitization, and it's extraordinarily exciting.
Which category you would definitely not want to invest today?
So I do invest in AI, but I'm very careful. 9% of our investments are in AI, versus many funds where it's like 75 to 80% are like AI type companies. And my concern here, as I mentioned earlier, is too many of them are not really differentiated. They're not using priority data sets. The business models are not very clear, and the valuations are very high. And so I'd be very wary of just doing AI and not being nuanced in doing so.
One startup wherein you had an opportunity to invest in, you missed it and regret it today.
So there are too many startups to answer that question, because that's true both at stage and in the startup. So, for instance, in the early stages of Uber, I could have invested, but I looked at the numbers and I'm like, and I started my debrief on one of the rounds, the 2 billion valuation round, and I was like, I'm going to regret this decision for the rest of my life. But having looked at the numbers where they're doing 100 million a month in GMV, 18 million net revenues, and burning 18 million a month, it's kind of hard to justify a 2 billion valuation because, if someone comes in and says, hey, I give you, if you give me $1, I give you $2 back, it's pretty easy to create a reasonably high revenue business, but it doesn't make it a viable business. Now, I knew Uber was special. The user experience was extraordinary. It's just the numbers are so not compelling relative to the valuation. But intuitively, I knew it was something amazing and magical. So next time when I start my debrief, I'm going to regret this decision for the rest of my life. Just invest regardless of what the numbers say. So that was a big one. Even though I did invest in Uber after that, realizing that I did make a mistake, but I could have invested a lot earlier that I did invest that. In terms of companies, I regret not investing in. I had the opportunity earlier to invest in OpenAI and didn't as well because there was no business model. Valuation also felt extraordinarily high. And also the structure of the company was weird, right? Like it was a non-for-profit, the board governance made no sense, the CEO didn't have any equity in the company. Like many things like just looked weird. And even though it felt like there's something magical and special starting to happen, it just was hard to justify all the things that looked weird. So pass, didn't even think about it. It was like, nah, this is too crazy. Didn't even give it the time of day. So definitely should have invested in OpenAI, but in VC, the errors of omission, meaning non-investing, are worse than the errors of commission, which is investing in the wrong companies. So a company that you invest in that's wrong goes from 1 to 0, but the companies that you don't invest in that's right goes from 1 to 1,000.
Product or marketing? Which is the bigger growth driver according to you?
Of course, in life, the answer is always combination of it depends and both. there, are, there are categories where, so let's start at the basics. I think having a good product is table stakes. And in some cases, you can have a product-led distribution strategy. So OpenAI is so extraordinary that people use it because it's amazing. It doesn't require any marketing. And there are some products that actually are probably more complicated and also require to work a certain level of scale. So OLX, you can build the best product, but if you don't have buyers and sellers, you don't have liquidity, then it doesn't work. And as a result, you actually need the marketing to create a critical mass of sellers and buyers that then creates this beautiful flywheel where the product matters. And so in the case of OLX, you need a good enough product, but then you need marketing. Marketing is key until you have a critical mass, and then it goes back to product, and then you stop marketing. And the same is true in many other categories, especially marketplaces, where you need a modicum of liquidity and matching supply and demand before you get going. And so the answer in many ways is both, though sometimes not at the same time. It's one then the other. But my preference in general, I'm a product CEO. I like building product. I like creating the Figmas and writing the user stories, etc. I like product. If I could be in a product-led company that doesn't require marketing, that'd be amazing. But 99% of them require to at least get customer acquisition strategy on either the supply or the demand side that is inorganic.
In current times, according to you, who's the most inspiring business leader?
So the obvious answer for people is Elon Musk, right? Like he's bringing the future forward with things like Tesla, SpaceX, etc. I'm going to give a more non-obvious answer, which is Brad Adcock at Figure.ai. Figure.ai is bringing humanoid robots to the present and eventually to the masses. They currently have these extraordinary robots that are working in the factory at BMW. They work 20 hours a day. They replace like 250K a year of machinist costs for like 90K a year of lease. And the costs are declining very rapidly. The productivity is improving very rapidly. They're going to be multifunctional. Figure 3, I suspect will be in the next 2 years or so, will actually be cheaper, better. We'll probably even have the first iterations working in the home. And Figure 4, probably 2-3 years later again, then we'll probably meet mass market. So I actually think we're on the verge of a humanoid robotics revolution where millions of robots will be in the world within the next decade, and people are completely unaware of it. And the person to bring it to the fore is Brad. He's created 2 successful startups before, and Boston Dynamics created all these amazing robots, but they're really an R&D lab. They're not meant to be commercialized. And he's brought the very best people from the various fields, from robotics to AI, etc., together to basically revolutionize and commercialize humanoid robots. The one piece of advice I would give to people that is viable is hire a very good CFO earlier than you think you need one. Just make sure that you really understand your financial controls, your burn, how much cash you have. If you have debt, when are you breaking the covenants, etc. So it's not something you necessarily think as a product CEO who likes to, go big or go home, but it actually matters a lot. And by the time people typically hire a CFO, it's probably too late. They should have done it like 1 or 2 years earlier.